Hello, everybody. Good evening. It's another great time, exciting time for us here at 3MTT Community. You know how we do it. Every Friday is another time to come learn. It's another time to come get insight that is going to help us on our journey. And you know it, for us here at 3MTT, beyond just learning technical courses, we're also committed to see you grow all around, whether your professional life, career, business, learning soft skills that will help your everyday, day-to-day living and advancement. And today we're here again with another interesting topic. And I have right here in the 3MTT studio an expert who is going to drive the value train for us today. But before I do the honors of introducing our speaker for today, I would like to also welcome our VVIPs. We have some very, very important persons joining us today at the 3MTT webinar. And don't look any further, it's none other than you. Yes, you watching this webinar, listening from wherever you're watching from, welcome. My name is Victoria Undu. I am the community manager for 3MTT Akwa Ibom State, and it's an honor to be here today. So just drop in the comments, in the chat, where you're watching from, the state you're streaming. If you're watching from Akwa Ibom, please drop it there, or show, wherever you're watching from, just drop the state, and then by the side, put your favorite emoji to it. So we know you're excited. If you're excited, put it up there. If you're anticipating, I just want to see the emojis flow in the comment section. So I'm looking now. Let's do this. Let's make this quick. Where are you watching it from? Give us one of your favorite emojis. My favorite emoji is that dance. You know that dancing girl that is putting on a red gown. That's my favorite emoji, even though I don't know how to dance. I know how to dance only in my head, but yeah. So just let me know if you're ready, if you're good to go. Okay, let's just wait for more people to join in. Just give 30 extra seconds for more people to join in. This is one webinar you do not want to miss. I'm telling you, this is one webinar you do not want to miss. So now's the time. Go and ring the bell to your community members, your fellows, your colleagues. Tell them that we are live and we're ready to go on this value journey together with our speaker today. Okay. I want to get as many I am ready as possible. As many as possible. Let's just get that going. And in the next 20 seconds, I will do the honors of introducing our speaker for today. Okay. All right, great. Okay, so personally, I'm ready, and I'm sure that you are too. Our speaker is very ready. In fact, very, very ready. We have here with us someone who is going to be doing justice to the topic, sales fundamentals for tech operators. The truth is, every single day you are selling, but a lot of us don't even know. It's not intentional. We don't know. And sometimes you are either selling less than you should, or selling, as you should. So today we're going to be learning the strategies, the fundamentals of sales. Sales is a very fundamental skill that everybody, especially if you're in the tech world, you're a tech operator, this is one skill that you must have aside your technical skill. All right, so today we're going to be having the head of revenue strategy at TileStack, which is a learning and talent management platform that is designed to enhance employee engagement, productivity, and performance. He is also the founder of RevStar. It's basically an exclusive community for professionals that is focused on revenue generation, retention, and he's also the founder of Tribe Africa. You can see here we have such a powerhouse right here with us, ready to share. He is a go-to-marketing Tribe Africa is a go-to-marketing consulting company that helps startups across Africa grow their revenue. And I mean, who better to talk about sales, to talk about revenue, to talk about finance and money than Mr. Tayo Showale here today? He's going to be joining us and to talk on the topic sales fundamentals for tech operators. Please, I want to see the excitement in the chat, all the fire emojis, all the dancing emojis, the clapping ovation and smiling ovation like I'm doing here today as we make welcome for our very amazing webinar today, Mr. Tayo Showale, for his teaching today. Over to you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Victoria. Hi, everyone.
Hello, sir. So excited to learn from you today.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. And I believe we can jump right into it. Can you confirm that everybody can see my screen now?
Yes, please. We can see your screen.
All right, great. So, hello, everyone. My name once again is Tayo, and I'm here to talk to you guys about the fundamentals of sales for tech operators. Sales is something that everybody has done and continues to do in their life. We all do it every day. So it's not something that's brand new to you guys. And I believe that today some people have had to sell. But what we do on a daily basis is different from selling on a professional level. And what we're talking about today is the professional angle to selling. So follow me as we talk through this. I'm happy to take questions as you have them. Just put them in the chat so that we can deal with them. In my experience, I have had to sell software across Africa. Currently, I work for a company that helps operators become better at many different things, and that company is called Talstack. Our time is short today, so I'm going to sort of just breeze through some of the parts of this, and I'm happy for you guys to stop me wherever there are questions. Victoria, just let me know. Okay, so first of all, what is sales? We define sales professionally as the exchange of value. So it's essentially exchanging value for money or compensation or payments, whatever you call it, between two entities, where one entity is the customer and the other entity is the seller. From the point of view of a tech operator, actually, let's talk briefly about what and who a tech operator is. A tech operator is someone who, within the tech ecosystem, they are the driving force of that engine without being the engineer. So what I mean is, if you take any technology ecosystem, any technology company, there are people who are writing the code, who are building the product, but there's everybody else from finance to marketing to sales to product people who are referred to as operators of that ecosystem. So now we've talked about sales and we've talked about who an operator is. So let's now go into the sales process. Sales is broken down into a number of different processes. Some people say it's 5, some people say it's 6. All of these processes are intertwined. And I can take it from the top and say the first thing that you have to do as a salesperson is prospecting, or lead generation, as many people like to call it. Our friends in marketing like to call it lead generation. Prospecting is the first step, and what you do at this stage is find the people who are likely to buy your product, essentially potential customers. The outcome of prospecting is lead generation. So you prospect and then you generate leads. After you've prospected and you've generated these leads, because we know that you are unable to sell to everybody, it's just physically impossible for you to be able to sell to everybody that is a lead or a potential customer. within the amount of time that you have. So what you want to do is you want to identify the ones that are most likely to buy so that you're not wasting your time, right? Time is of the essence in all walks of life. So that you're not wasting your time, we do this thing that is called lead qualification. And there are very many ways to do it. There are many frameworks, there are many systems and processes to do it. But the most popular one is something that we call BANT. And BANT is, I don't mean banter. BANT is an acronym for budget, authority, need, and timing. And this is how you use it. So say I want to sell something to Mohammed, Victoria, Fatima, and Yusuf. Those are the leads that I've generated. And I want to sell to them. Chances are that not all 4 of them will be very interested in what I have to buy. Not all 4 of them are what me spending hours or days or weeks or months trying to sell to. So how do I know who to focus most of my energy on? That's where you use BANT. Essentially, you speak to them or you find ways to get the information from them around the budget. So do you have a budget for this thing that I'm trying to sell? Do you have a need for this thing that I'm trying to sell? If you have a budget and a need, do you have the authority to spend this budget and make this purchase to solve this need? And when all of this is taken care of, are you within the time range where you're looking to buy? Or does the time that you're looking to make this purchase align with the time that I am looking to sell it? I want to sell it right now, but you want to buy it in December. So there is a mismatch there. What BANT lets you do is focus your energy on the most important leads or prospects. After qualification, you then go into the actual sales conversation, which is you explaining the value of your product and matching that to the problem that all of these prospects have. The prospects that you have qualified, by the way. So when you say sales pitch, many people think that it's essentially just you talking and talking and talking and telling the person all of the good things about your product. But that's not how it works. A salesperson's job is to be the solution to a problem that a prospect has. And I mean that in the sense of if a prospect is looking for a solution for this particular problem, you must position your product as a solution to the problem. If your product genuinely does not solve their problem, you have to let them know. And in that instance, you're unable to sell to the person. After you've gone through this interaction with the customer where there is now a mutual agreement that your product does solve the problem that the customer has, that they have a need for this, they have the authority to make a purchase, they have a budget, or at least close to a budget, and they are looking to make this purchase soon enough. You then go into what is called negotiation. I'm sure most of us have had to negotiate every now and then, whether we're on the selling side or on the buyer side, you have to negotiate. Negotiation is usually, from people that are not in sales, is maybe the most stressful part for them. And that's because they think that it's a zero-sum game where I win and the prospect or the customer loses, or vice versa. But negotiation is supposed to be approached from a point of view of this person wants to buy from me and I want to sell. How do we reach a common ground in terms of negotiation? How do we make this purchase happen where I don't lose money and the customer goes away feeling like they've paid a fair price? Many of the challenges that we have in negotiation stage is as a result of not having communicated value or not having properly qualified the lead using the BANT framework that we discussed. After negotiation, We then go into closing. Closing is personally my favorite part of selling. It's the part of it where you close the conversation, you end the conversation. One of the most popular misconceptions about closing is that closing refers to only when you've won the deal. But that's not quite true. Many times, when you end the deal, you have not made a sale, but both you and the customer or the prospect have agreed that we cannot move forward. That is closing, which is why one of the ways that salespeople describe closing is, or two of the ways that salespeople describe closing is closed won versus closed lost. As a salesperson, closed won means that this sale has ended and the customer has bought. While closed lost means that this sale has ended, this cycle of the sale has ended, and the customer has said, I'm not buying. And that could be I'm not buying right now, I'm not buying today, or I don't have the money yet, come back in 3 months, which may be another sales cycle for you. And of course, after you've closed and won the deal, depending on what you're selling, there are many things that go into post-sale follow-up. And just to mirror these stages that we've talked about, also simplify it. Essentially, what you do in the first couple of stages is create awareness, right? So lead generation and prospecting, you're creating awareness. Lead qualification, you're creating awareness, but you're also engaging the customer to figure out what they think about your products, whether they have the budget, whether they're even looking to buy. Negotiation is also part of consideration and engagement, right? And finally, when you close, we say you've converted the customer. So those are some of the stages that are involved in the sales process. So let's move to the second part of this conversation, which is how to build effective sales strategies. The very first thing that you have to do when building a sales strategy is to decide who your customer is. The way you do this is to ask yourself, or to answer these questions for yourself. What problem does my product solve? Who does it solve this problem for? How do they currently solve this problem for themselves without my product? Also, when they see my product, when I tell them about my product, would they believe that my product is a better way to solve this problem? Those are fundamental questions that you have to ask. And the answers to this question help you do a couple of things. It helps you segment your market, but it also helps you build an ideal profile, a customer persona that you want to go after. Let's talk a little bit about customer personas. A persona is essentially a template that describes the type of person I want to sell to. If I sell baby food, for instance, of course, I'm going to look for parents who have children who have recently had babies, and babies who are between this age to that age. That's a persona. Now I can refine that persona even more if I have some data that says, for instance, mothers rather than fathers make the decision on which baby food to buy. Whereas if I sold a technology product, if I sold accounting software, for instance, I know that the people who use accounting software are accountants and finance people. But I could also say I have built a product for finance and accounting people who work at startups because my product is a SaaS product. It's low cost. It doesn't have all of the bells and whistles that maybe some of the biggest ones have. And that's one of the ways that you think of a customer persona. What a customer persona lets you do is it lets you tailor your messaging as a salesperson. actually it lets you tailor more than your messaging. It lets you tailor your outreach. It lets you tailor your communication channels. It lets you tailor the offers that you even give to these people as you reach out to them. And now talking about offers and value propositions. Crafting your, first of all, a value proposition or a unique selling point is what your product does that makes it different from everything else that is out in the market. And you can think of many different products today. You can think of an iPhone versus Android. What does an iPhone do that makes it different from everything else that is out in the market today? That becomes their unique selling proposition. And so segmenting your customer profile, building an ideal customer persona allows you to also create value propositions that fit each of those persona. It allows you to address the specific pain points because it's different depending on what you're selling and who you're selling it to. All right, the next part of this is sales channels. Sales channels are varied, but also very simple to understand. There are different ones. So there's business to business. So a business to business sales channels just refers to a world where you as a business are selling to other businesses. You could have business to consumer, which essentially says that a business is selling to individuals, which is a lot of the time. You have businesses reaching directly to us, whether they are internet service provider or mobile networks, right? And depending on, obviously a few others, there's B2G, there's B2B2C, which is business to government or business to consumer, where the second B is a business that is connecting one business with a large number of consumers. Now, under these broad definitions is something that is closer to home, which is direct or indirect sales. And it can happen under any of these umbrellas that I've described, but it simply means that direct sales is you are calling or speaking to or selling to the final consumer of the product that you're selling. Whereas indirect means that you're selling to a middleman. And usually that's an affiliate partner, that's a reseller or a wholesaler that goes to the factory to pick up these things and then redistributes. This model is used whether you're in technology or not. I saw that Victoria unmuted, so I suspect that she's trying to get me to hurry up a little bit. So I'm going to do just that. All right, so one of the most widely used and sort of trusted models in selling is something called consultative selling. And it refers to the part of sales where the type of sales rather, where you are essentially asking questions, learning more about the problems that a prospect has, and then offering solutions based on what they've said. You are helping them work towards a solution. Also called solution selling sometimes. It is important, but one of the fundamentals of consultative selling is something called relationship building. So it's building rapport, is essentially becoming friends or becoming a trusted advisor with whoever you're selling to. One of the things that you have to be good at as a salesperson is handling objections. And handling objections is good. It's actually a great thing. I know that many salespeople sort of worry about objection handling, but it's actually a good thing if you think of it as, I'm a consultant, I'm doing consultative selling, I'm trying to help the prospects reach a solution that works. And it's usually good because it's a sign that the customer wants more information It could be a major objection that they have, which speaks to some of the weaknesses of your product, in which case your job is to help them see, even though my product doesn't do this, this is how it's still better than what you currently have. And there are very many ways that you can communicate that. Sometimes there are minor objections where the person is really just pointing out what they think is a weakness, but is not a deal breaker, right? I'm going to move really quickly and get to the final part of this, which is just some of the things that, some of the language that salespeople use to describe the work and the process and the efficiency of it. You must have heard people talk about conversion rates. Conversion rates in sales talks about at the different stages of your pipeline, what is the number, what is the percentage of leads or prospects that are moving forward. One of the simplest ones is essentially lead to customer or lead to paid customer rates, which is a measure of, out of every 100 leads that I get, how many of them am I currently getting to pay me? It's a measure of the quality of your salesmanship. It's a measure of the quality of your lead generation and qualification process. The next one is average deal size. Average deal size speaks to the amount that a customer will pay you on average. So if you take 100 people that have paid you in the last day, last week, last month, and you divide it by the total number, the total amount of money that they paid you, what is the average number? This is important because you can sort of use that to weigh where you focus on. So if a deal is significantly less than your average deal size, then you want to deprioritize that for another one that is significantly higher or that is at about your average deal size, so that you're getting value for the effort that you put in. The length of your sales cycle simply speaks to how long, again, this is an average, how long it takes you to close an account from the point where you first contact the customer to the point where they pay you. That's the length of your sales cycle. I'm going to skip to the very last part, and this is essentially speaking to the use of technology in sales today. There are very many products today, many tools that allow us to be more efficient. These tools can be used in many different stages: prospecting, closing, administration, outreach, which is emailing your people, calling your prospects, and a bunch of other things. Examples of the most popular examples in the past used to be Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics, for instance. Today, we have more flexible, low-cost ones like Apollo, HubSpot, Instantly, and sales technology tools have now brought about a world where you can be more efficient, you can do more with less. Any one of you today can be wherever you are and reach out to 1,000 people that fit your customer profile without having to send 1,000 emails or making 1,000 phone calls. You can do demos to multiple people. You can record those demos and send them out to a bunch of people just with the click of a button. I believe that there will be another session here where we can dive deeper into some of these things. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this very short presentation. I hope that this has given you an overview of what sales looks like in a technology-enabled world, and how sales itself is now technology-driven and data-driven. I am happy to answer any questions that you, ladies and gentlemen, might have about sales and selling. And yeah, Victoria, over to you.
Oh, wow. I feel like we just had a business school. We just finished from a business school. Thank you so much, Tayo, for taking us end to end. You took us through an entire sales process, and you didn't just stop there. You also took us through strategies from end to end, and I'm so grateful. This is one webinar that I'm going to encourage everybody to please try to listen on again. Just watch the replay and just digest all of the tips and strategies that have been shared here today. So we're going to just do a quick task in the next 30 seconds while you're getting your questions ready. First of all, just describe how this webinar feels just using one comment or using an emoji. For those of you who don't like talking, it's okay, just use an emoji to show how excited you are, how insightful this webinar has been for you. I want to see it in the comments. Is it a dancing emoji, or you can use the word powerful. Don't worry, you can borrow my word, wonderful, and all of those things. I want to see how you feel about the webinar today. And talking about that, there is a pinned message. We have the news, right? There's a pinned message in the chat right here on YouTube. Just right in that comment, there's a pinned message from the ministry. You see FMCIDE. Click on it and please respond accordingly. It's going to take you less than a minute. We want to know what you think about our webinars generally. We value your feedback. We want to keep giving you value as much as we can every Friday, or as frequent or whenever we do, the webinars we hold. So please, it will take you less than a minute. Click the link, the pinned message, and respond accordingly. All right, so let's get right into the questions and answer. Tayo says he's ready for us. He's ready to take all the questions. So I'm just going to quickly look at the comments. That's what I'm trying to do now. Just quickly look at the comments to see if we have questions. Okay, I knew this question was going to come up. So Paul is asking, Tayo, Paul is asking, please, what is the difference between a salesperson and a marketer? In fact, just to extend that question for him, can you just give us the difference between sales and marketing, if any? And then you can now link it up to a salesperson and a marketer.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Paul, and thanks for extending it, Victoria. So marketing is everything that you do before you get the sales. Everything that you do to create awareness is the entire process. Marketing is lead generation. Marketing is brand building. Marketing is demand generation. A marketer's primary job is to help a salesperson prepare the mind of the customer or the prospect. A marketer's job is to make sure that when you as a salesperson meet a prospect and you're speaking to them about your product, that is not the first time they're hearing about you. A marketer's job is to make sure that that prospects and the market generally have a positive feeling towards you and your company. Your job as a salesperson is then to take advantage of that goodwill that marketing has built and use that to get into a conversation with the prospect. Use that to uncover the problems that the prospect has. Use that to educate the prospect about the core parts of your product and how it solves the problem. A salesperson's job is to convert that prospect to a paying customer. Paul, I hope this helps.
Yes, very educative. In fact, Blessing is saying here, this is very educative. Olaita is seconding on that. And, Michael is saying wonderful, very insightful. And, this is really, really very insightful, not just from my end. I'm also sure that the listeners and those who are going to join in later on will have this to say about the webinar as well. So I'm going to be asking another question. Please do also drop your comments. Now we have the opportunity to talk with a sales expert. So just bring everything about sales, about building that revenue base in you, whatever it is that you're building. So just drop your comments in the comment section and I'll read it for you as well. Do not also forget to please go check our pinned message in the chat, click on it and respond accordingly. So here's another question, right? Now, a lot of people say sales is a big skill and it's a life skill, the ability to sell. But you've taken us through an intentional process. So it's not something you just wake up to, right? It's not something you say, oh, because it's a life skill, anybody can sell. What are some of the biggest mindset shifts or strategies that a tech operator or generally we need to make when transitioning into sales-oriented role and to be able to fit into these intentional strategies you've taught us here today?
Right. So so let me talk about the mind shift first of all. So the first thing is that as a salesperson, you have to realize that you are important. You're not the forgotten part of a technology company. You are very important. And the reason you're important is that to the company, you are the link between them and the customer. Now, to the customer, trying to help them solve a problem. If you always approach your sales interactions from the point of view of, I have a solution that works. What I'm trying to figure out, what I'm trying to do for you is to confirm whether you have the problem that this solves. If I can confirm that you do have the problem, actually, and I'm not just telling you, I'm asking you questions, I'm getting feedback from you, and based on what you tell me, I can then advise you. So I'm playing an advisory role. I think that a lot of the challenges that we've had with the perception of sales is that I'm going out to go and beg people for things. I'm begging them to pay me money for something that they don't want. That's not selling. That's begging. Selling essentially is you taking a product that works, a solution that people actually want, and going out to look for those people, prospecting to figure out that, okay, these people match the persona that I had in mind. When you speak with them, you confirm that you're actually right, and then you make the offer and say, hey, just from talking to you, it looks like you have this problem. I have this solution, and I'd like you to take a look. Feel free to ask me questions about it. I will answer those questions. At the end of that, I can then say, do you want to buy this or not? And if you say no, I'm going to figure out why or why not. If whether or not the whys make sense, I'm going to take that back to the company, which is what I said earlier about you being the link between the company and the customer. So that's the first thing on mind shift. The second thing, your second question around how does just anybody start to sell, is that sales is actually process driven. And like I described, the first thing is find people. The second thing is using a set of criteria, confirm that these people actually are potential prospects. The third part, which is where personalities come in, is you have to have the confidence to actually approach these people and say, hi, Victoria, I've done some research and it looks like you might be a great fit for this thing that I'm selling. Do you have a few minutes for me to talk to you about it? Some people will say no, some people will say yes, but that is the game. That is the work. And then you have to have the confidence to walk away if you do find out that there's no need, there's no budget, there's no authority, feel free to walk away. Spend time on people who are more likely to buy and just be genuinely helpful. Sales is not a ploy to try to get money out of people using lies. It's a genuine opportunity to help people and to build a relationship. So yeah.
Amazing. Loads of tip here. Sales is not begging. It's about you being able to know that your product works, there's value in it, and you're able to confidently push that, product to the people who need it. And it's okay if people tell you no along the way. It's okay. It's part of the process. You just keep pushing up at it as well. So thank you so much, Tayo, for that tip. Well taken, well noted. I'm sorry, we still have more questions for you.
No worries.
Let's take in all that we can from this session. Thank you. So what is Anna Yochip is saying? He's saying, thank you for this great opportunity. Michael is asking, can you recommend further reads so can we have access to the slides? So you know what, you can follow our speaker, Tayo Showale, on LinkedIn. I'm sure that more tips would be on his page as well. Okay, so please keep dropping your questions. We still have about 5-6 minutes to go, so let's maximize our time here. Okay, so another question now is, what key metrics should tech operators focus on to measure the success of their sales efforts? Are you going to say this is successful or kudos to this sales tech operator because you were finally able to land this person, you were able to close, right? Is it a one fix? Is this a stated rule that this is the only way we can use to say for sure that this sales process was successful? Or are there other metrics that people should be aware of? And can you share with us?
Yeah, so there are quite a few metrics. And because there's a process, right? And there are many different steps in the process. Each step has a metric or a few metrics that you want to test for. And you want to continue to track. So first thing is how many leads are coming into the top of your funnel. So as a salesperson, your job starts when you start collecting this lead, you start reaching out to people. So for me to say one salesperson is doing better than the other on that level, the first thing is who is adding more leads to their pipeline, right? So that's first thing, leads. The second step is qualified leads. So you've added 100 people. That's fine. But how many of those fit the criteria that you've set? How many of those fit the ideal customer persona that you've set based on the product that you're selling, but based on the market that you're in? How many of them have the budget? How many of them have the need and the authority, right? So it's possible that you start with 100. By the time you do lead qualification, you end up with 10. It's possible that somebody else starts with 50, and by the time they do lead qualification, they end up with 20. So you're good at the first level. When you get to the next level, this person is better. So it's probably that they're finding their leads from a different source, or they're doing a good enough job of just identifying people who are more likely to buy from the very start, right? The next thing is how, and this is slightly more qualitative, but it's in the quality of your salesmanship. So you get into a conversation, how many of those conversations are you moving forward? When you leave those interactions, do people feel like, oh, this person really understood my problem? This person really explained how their product solves my problem? Or do they feel like, no, this person was just talking, they weren't even listening to me, I was telling them that I have this problem and they were trying to sell this thing that does this other thing, right? And then the next stage is follow-ups, right? So you have to follow up. What is the quality of your follow-up? How often? Or do you just talk to somebody once, they say, yeah, maybe I'm interested, reach out in a week, and you just go away, you go to other ones? And so essentially there's many different parts of the funnel that you have to measure, you have to track. It's not just, I closed the deal, because you might be closing the deal, you might close one deal, but if you are tracked properly, that one deal could have been 10.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, this is very insightful. Thank you so much. Kanji is asking difference between marketer and retailer, but I think we can pass on that because you've touched on that a bit. So let's go to Blessing. She's asking, what CRM can you recommend for a salesperson in tech? And so let's just take it with Rabio as well. Rabio is asking, what things are we to be doing? I'm going to rephrase the question. What things are we to be doing daily to improve entrepreneurship? So I would take that to be, what do we need? What are the routines and habits to be able to hit your sales targets daily?
Got it. So in terms of CRM, there are a lot of them. If you just Google sales CRMs, you'll find quite a bit of them. I'm not sure that I'm able to speak for one over the other.
Yes, understood.
Yeah, and for Sorabi's question is, what do you need to do daily to improve? I will use an analogy. Sales, like anything else, requires practice. If you play football, if you are a lawyer, if you are a doctor, the more you do things, the better you get at them. And the good thing about sales is that it's very practical. So you can stand in front of a mirror and sell. You can take each step of the funnel and look at how can I get better at it. So I want to get better at prospecting. I go on LinkedIn or I go to wherever it is that I'm generating leads from, and I just continue to do it and I track improvements. But another thing that you can do is take sales courses, learn from, professionals, learn from senior colleagues, and also just read. There are quite a few books. One of my favorites is a book called Sales EQ. And the name of the author is Jeb Blount.
Amazing. Thank you. I think we're coming to the end of this webinar, but it's been such an amazing 45 minutes here, learning from you, Tayo. Just for the fellows who joined in late, I don't think you should just run out with just this few seconds that you heard. I like that Razak says that even though he couldn't join at the start and he just joined in, but he has gained a lot just from the few seconds of being here. So imagine gaining from 45 minutes. So don't restrict yourself to the last part of the soup. If you can enjoy the entire meal, why do you want to take just the leftover? So please, I'm encouraging everybody just joining in. If you joined in late, not to worry. The replay is going to be up right here. Just click on it and, watch the replay as well. Please, there is a pinned message from FMCIDE Nigeria. Just click on it. There's a message there for you. Very, very important. Please do us the honors. It will take you just less than a minute. Click on it and give us your feedback because we value you. Oroma is still asking us questions when we're doing conclusion, but because we are here for you, I will just take your question and then we'll wrap it up. Tayo, I hope you don't mind.
No, that's good.
Thank you. He's asking, how can a small business manage control and follow up and still check in on sales growth? What tools can be used? I'm thinking the person is asking of automation and all of those things. How can you manage all of these processes? Because it seems like the sales process is a lot for a small business owner to sort of like manage.
Right. So someone asked a question about the answer to this a few moments ago, and it's also the answer is automation. I think most of the work that you have to do once you've figured out your sales process, first of all, is you can then automate it. And this is CRMs that allow you say, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3, this is what happens if I reach out to a customer and they respond to me, then remind me to call them. I've reached out to a customer today. If they don't respond to me in 5 days, remind me to call them again or remind me to email them again. That's what a CRM helps you do. It helps you sort of focus on the most important things. So that's the simple answer, Oroma.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Final words in the next 1 minute. Just give us your final words, Tayo, generally about sales, growth, revenue, and probably just life in general.
Right. So sales is life. So the first word and the last word of that sentence is what it is. Sales is life. And you have to learn how to sell, whether or not you want to do it professionally, whether or not you have other skills. You actually need to be able to sell your other skills, right? As a tech operator, you're going to be in situations where your ability to sell is what differentiates you from other people. Not necessarily you just being a professional salesperson, but just being able to use the techniques of uncovering needs, being consultative, figuring out the problems that people are trying to solve, and then finding a way to present your solution as the best way to fix that. So yeah, if you can, I would advise everyone to get better at selling.
Get better at selling, because sales is life. Such a grand closing to this webinar today. Thank you, Taya. Thanks to everyone who joined in the webinar. Yeah, and bigger thanks to people who would also fill the form today. It's such an honor to be here, learning from Tayo and seeing all of you, seeing you, or at least seeing your messages on YouTube today. And see you again sometime, maybe next week, or as you know, please just slot in your calendar. Most times, every Friday by 4 p.m. Make it a date, schedule it, and do not forget to always, jump in. There's always something for you to learn. So we're going to call it a day today. Thank you so much. Bye.